Got Jason Priester here to break down Clemson football, of course. And let me see if I go down my list of what I wanted to bring up. Oh, yeah, there's a college football playoff game. That's right, for Clemson. You know, this is, let's put aside what Vegas thinks about this game and what a lot of people think, or what kind of chance or lack of chance that people are giving Clemson. This is the kind of matchup when it comes to brand recognition that people envisioned. Certainly, I envisioned these kind of brands getting together that otherwise we would never see on the same football field unless it was some kind of major bowl matchup and with all the stakes on the line. So this is a dream come true for college football fans, or at least it should be, to see these kind of brands. I don't know that they've ever played. If they have, it was before my time, because Texas and Clemson have never stepped on a field during my lifetime that I've been watching college football. So this is special stuff.
Yeah, not only that, you know, you got guys like Cade Klubnik, who is from Austin. You got several kids on that Clemson roster that are from Texas and going back home. But for Klubnik specifically, it's a homecoming of sorts. Texas recruited him hard coming out of high school. So there's a lot of different storylines in play here. But, you know, at the end of the day, it comes down to, you know, spotting the ball and who makes the most plays. And this is going to be a challenging matchup for Clemson. I understand Texas has not faced the most potent of offenses week in and week out, but some of the numbers they put up defensively this year are impressive. I think they've allowed 4 passing touchdowns all season. That's impressive. I don't care who you're playing. That pass defense is legit. The defense overall is legit. And, you know, if you follow Clemson this season, you know they tend to struggle when they play against better defenses. Look at the South Carolina game. You know, they moved the ball some. They had some success moving it. Only 14 points. Look at the SMU game. Once SMU in the ACC championship, once SMU kind of settled down and stopped turning it over, you know, Clemson scored, I think it was 10 points after the first quarter, and 3 of those came on the last play of the game. Garrett Riley actually was asked about the consistency of the offense and if they needed to be more aggressive in the second halves of games. He was asked about that today, and he said they probably need to keep their foot on the gas a little bit harder. But, you know, even – you know, saying that there's been plays to be made for this offense in some of these games. There's a play that Cade overshot Brian Wesco against South Carolina, probably goes for a touchdown and ends it. There's probably a couple plays against SMU they just missed. You know, so it's not like it's all coaching. There's some execution stuff too. And I'm of the opinion, you know, and I might be in the minority here. I thought Clemson got a little conservative against South Carolina in the second half. Not so much against SMU, but listening to Garrett Riley today, he absolutely thinks they can be more aggressive, you know, later in games. We'll see how that translates Saturday, because this offense is going to have to make some plays if they're going to win this game. You can't put it all on the shoulders of that defense, who we have seen has been fairly inconsistent throughout the year. They're going to have to put up some points, and they're going to have to do it against, you know, one of the top 2 or 3 defenses they've seen all year.
And you can't abandon the run. However, it's tough to envision this team marching down the field at 5 and 6 yards a clip, running the football, because this Texas defense, as you mentioned, overall, just on either side in regards to pass defense or rush defense, is extremely strong. But the Clemson run game certainly has been spotty too in regards to getting a push up front.
Well, especially the last month, you know, Phil Moffa's been a little banged up for most of the season. He's got a, you know, Dabo, you know, let it come out yesterday. He needs off-season surgery on his shoulder, and he is not the same back the past 3-4 weeks as he was, you know, the first 2/3 of the season. You can see it. And then against SMU, they lose Jay Haynes, the backup. So you got a not 100% Phil Moffa, who's nursing a bum shoulder. You're missing your backup, and the guys behind them have very limited snaps. Keith Adams has played very little outside of some trash time. David Azuiumame, I think that's how you say it now. He's redshirted this season. You know, that means he can play in the postseason, but he's not played much at all this year. And Jarvis Green, who is a redshirt freshman, I don't think he is on the depth chart really, but if you kind of watch how some of those games, like against the blowout games earlier in the season when they started getting everybody on the field, seemed like EZ came out ahead of Jarvis Green, so he might be ahead of him in the rotation. It's going to be interesting to see how they handle that, because I think if you're Garrett Riley, you got to get a little bit creative. You can't just hand it to Phil Maffa and expect him to pick up, like you said, 4 or 5 yards per chunk on the inside zone. You might have to run Cade 12, 13, 14, 15 times in this game. You might need to use some pop passes to guys like Antonio Williams or maybe Tyler Brown if he's ready to get back into things. He hasn't really played since Florida State due to an injury. But, this is going to be a challenge for Garrett Riley, considering exactly how banged up Phil Maffa is. No Jay Haynes. I'm kind of interested to see exactly what he schemes up here and what the plan is.
It is tough to envision Clemson scoring too many points in this game. So if we look at the Clemson defense, TJ Parker, of course, is a guy that could make havoc occur on the Clemson side. And of course, he did just that to get Clemson a lead in the ACC championship game. This Texas wide receiver core is no joke. It's one of the best in the country. Matthew Golden, Isaiah Bond, Gunnar Helms, a top tight end. Do you think Clemson's secondary is up to the task?
We'll see, because, again, they've been a little up and down. I like the corners. I really like Terrell for the most part this season. He's been solid. I really like Ashton Hampton, but he's a true freshman. Jaden Lucas is probably, a little bit better in space than he is in tight coverage. But, for me, it kind of starts with not letting them run it down your throat. And Clemson's defense is just, it has not been what we're accustomed to seeing on that side of the ball, particularly the run defense. They've just not been very disciplined. The linebackers are not always gap sound. There's too many times where backs or quarterbacks, even though you're not going to have to worry about that with Quinn Ewers too much, I don't think. But they're getting to the second and third level. And if that happens on Saturday, this thing could get, off the rails in a hurry. Like I said about Garrett and what he's scheming up, I'm kind of interested to see how Clemson plays defensively in this game. TJ Parker was saying it today, how he loves it that everybody keeps doubting them. All they wanted was an opportunity. Well, now they got it. Here's your opportunity. What you going to make of it?
Well, we know if they need a 56-yard field goal at the gun, that they can do that.
Yeah, that was something to behold.
I bet.
I remember as soon as that pass was completed to Antonio Williams and they spotted that thing, one of the other people in the media looked back at me and asked me, did Nolan Hoosier have the leg to make that happen? And I was like, oh, he's got the leg. It's a matter of whether it gets beyond the line of scrimmage due to protection issues. Well, this is something else I don't think a lot of people realize. Clemson, due to all the blocks, they've been backing field goals up an extra yard. Instead of the typical 7, they've been backing them up 8. That's why that thing was a 56-yarder instead of a 55-yarder. They did it on the matter of fact, one of those earlier ones in that game, they might have backed it up 9 yards. I couldn't hardly tell. And I tried to go back and look in the box score and couldn't tell. But that is one thing they've done to kind of alleviate some of those block issues. But, man, you got to admit that kid's got ice water in his veins. He looks at the TV camera or he looks over to the sideline and the TV camera, catches it. He looks over the sideline and winks and lines up and kills it. Probably would have been good 57, 58. It didn't have a whole lot much more distance on it, but it had a little bit. And, probably making it even a little sweeter. That's right there where he's from, kind of his hometown. And after all the struggles they've had with the blocks this year, it was good to finally see him. I hate to say redemption because I don't think any of those blocks were on him. You got to have protection. I think that's where the issues lie. But, man, it was good to see him get one off and show what he can finally do when he gets some protection.
Well, absolutely. Some of those blocks, it wasn't like a defender was laying out, making some incredible diving play to get his fingernail on the football. It was like practically getting hit right in the helmet. And that, again, wasn't the kicker's issue. It was that they were just breaking free through the line to that degree. Now, the concern is also that, this team basically they made 3 plays in the fourth quarter. And the 3 plays were the kick return, the square in route to get them set into field goal range, and then the field goal because, wow, they got outplayed in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, and I keep seeing people say where they got too conservative, yada yada yada. Well, they passed the ball in the fourth quarter twice as many times as they tried to run it. I just think SMU made more plays. Their DBs were really starting to get into a groove. The later you got into that game, there were 2 or either 3 passes just batted down. There was one play in particular, I think it was on a 3rd down, where Cade had Antonio Williams and it might have been TJ Moore, kind of right there in the same vicinity, which probably wasn't supposed to happen. But Antonio's open, but instead he tries to force it into, I think it was Moore. I might be wrong on that. But if you go to Moore, if you go to Williams there, he probably catches it and you got a first down. Clemson's just got to be better in the bigger moments. We've seen them against South Carolina, against SMU. We saw it against Pitt. They're able to go out and get the lead. Their problem has been adding on to that lead and putting teams away, and Dabo Swinney likes to call it finishing. It's been an issue all season long, and if they have the opportunity Saturday and they don't finish, this Texas team will beat them.
All right, folks. Well, it used to be part of entitlement with guys like Deshaun Watson and Trevor Lawrence at the helm. Clemson going to the playoffs, of course, 2015 through 2020. But, man, it's been 4 years. So Clemson back at it. The 12-team playoff kind of helped out a bit. No question about that, of course. As the ACC champs, Clemson gets in. They got Texas in Austin. It should be a fun one. Clemson's going to have to, in my estimation, play an outstanding game to make it a nail-biter. So we shall see.
Absolutely. It's all up to those receivers on the offense side of the ball. You got to take advantage of those one-on-one matchups and win them.
At the Clemson Insiders, the place to catch Jason's work. So get yourself caught up on all the transfer portal additions. And then, of course, get yourself prepped on Texas football and the Clemson matchup. Jason, enjoy the game, and we appreciate you being here.
Always a pleasure, my friend. Appreciate it.